I want to tell a story about the wildest, craziest, scariest comedy show I've ever been a part of. It includes lots of money, drugs, food, and an Elvis impersonator. My friend Cody had just gotten off the phone with an Italian restaurant and they asked us to produce a monthly show with a $500 budget, which was a huge amount of money at the time. And he made it clear that the sky was the limit. If this was successful, he'd increase our budget, we'd go weekly, we might even do 2 shows in a night. We were not going to let this opportunity go to waste. We were going to put as much time and effort as we could into making this successful. The first thing I did is research this restaurant. I Googled it, I started reading Yelp reviews, and the more I read, this mysterious character started to emerge, the owner of the restaurant. This didn't bother me too much because it was under new management, and also most restaurants that are doing very successfully bringing in people aren't going to want a comedy show anyway. One of the reasons why venues bring in comedy shows is to bring people in and to increase bar sales and food sales. But then I started reading reviews where it was like, I ordered a pizza, the pizza didn't taste good, I asked for our money back, and someone came over to us and started yelling at us and told us to get out of the restaurant. Turns out it was the owner. Or I had put some music on the jukebox and my son was dancing and a stranger came over and asked to dance with my son. I said no because I didn't feel comfortable, and that person started loudly disparaging us to other customers. Turns out it was the owner. Later on, my friend went and met with the owner to discuss the show at his restaurant, and during the meeting, the owner pulled off the tablecloth of one of the tables in the restaurant, threw it on the ground, and just yelled, "This is dirty, get another one, clean it up." This was such a good opportunity for us, though, that at the time we overlooked all of that and were just focused on making this the best show we'd ever done. We booked the best comedians and we put a lot of work, time, and effort into promoting the show. That meant creating Instagram profiles, Facebook profiles. We hired a graphic designer to make social media art, to make postcards, to make posters. We paid for some Facebook ads, and we hit the pavement hanging up posters all around town. I also created some video promos. We were feeling really good about ourselves and the work we put in. And you know what? It paid off. The show sold out the day of the show, and we've been looking forward to this for a while. The owner had promised us that he wouldn't interfere with the show at all, but the day of the show, he broke his promise. The night before, the owner had been drinking with someone, and it turned out that person was an Elvis impersonator. So the owner decided that our show would be opened up by Elvis. And we were really angry about this, but there was nothing we could do. I get to the venue, my friend gets to the venue, we start setting everything up, the comedians start arriving, the audience starts arriving. Elvis arrives, he goes straight to the bathroom to change. He comes out of the bathroom, and boy, does he look like Elvis. Do something funny. Benvenuto. Full body white leather suit, tassels, sparkles, sunglasses, black pompadour wig, gold belt. He's got the swagger. And a large V-neck that reveals his huge, hairy chest.
Palermo, the capital de Sicilia. Olio c'è tutta.
He then takes out a deck of playing cards and starts ripping each card individually in half, puts half of the cards into a hat, and starts handing out the other half to the audience members that are arriving as part of a raffle he's got planned. As the prize, he's bought a bucket of lottery tickets. Then he goes to mingle with the crowd, handing out his raffle tickets and asking people to take photos of him. Eventually, it's time for the show to start.
You want to get another round, and we'll get the show started with, I'm sure you've all seen Elvis out there hanging out, so he'll be up here in a little bit, but...
People start taking their seats. The lights go down. Elvis gets on stage. And immediately has trouble working the microphone.
Hello. There you go. Yeah.
Then he starts pulling out every trick in the book that an Elvis impersonator has. He starts giving us history lessons.
He lived in a small shack in Memphis, Tennessee, and it was a rough life for Elvis.
Singing the ham bone.
He started learning, the first thing he did was the ham bone. Ham bone, have you heard? Papa gonna buy me a mockingbird.
If that mockingbird don't cry,
If that mockingbird don't sing,
Papa's gonna buy you a diamond ring.
Papa gonna buy me a diamond ring.
Speaking Italian to random people in the audience.
Tu non parli inglese?
No, no inglese.
No inglese, ok. Perché por gli anni 60
And interviewing people about World War II from the Italian perspective.
You stand from the bar and give speeches about Mussolini.
Yeah, but then what happened when he made that alliance with Hitler?
Well, nothing.
He goes over his time by 5 minutes. We're just waving the light at him, signaling him to get off stage. The host goes up to the foot of the stage. And eventually he gets off stage and the stand-up portion of the show starts. It was a little rough at first for the comedians to follow such a strange opening act that really brought a lot of the energy of the room down. But eventually the comedians start recovering. Things start going well. However, at the beginning of one comedian's set, he starts doing a bit about Italian food.
The only thing I don't like about Italian restaurants is when they have very long pasta menus.
And then the owner starts heckling him.
Easy boy? Alright, careful.
Luckily, the comedian just ignored him and kept the show going.
That has been our show. Thank you guys so much for coming out. You guys have been an amazing audience.
The show ends without a major incident. Elvis gets back on stage, finishes up his raffle, gives out the bucket of lottery tickets.
4 spades, I don't know what color would that be. That would be blue.
Then starts trying to perform again and get everyone's attention, but they're not paying attention because they want to go home and the show's over. So he starts stripping. I start cleaning up, then the owner comes over to me and a group of comedians and starts asking us very creepy questions. Like, who did that joke about the lube? That was my favorite. I was like, I don't know whose joke that about the lube. I was trying to get away, but he did this very strange thing where he'd like grab my arm and be like, hey, are you paying attention to me? Are you making fun of me? Pay attention to me. This like weird thing. As if maybe he thought I was a comedian and that's what I do. I just make fun of people all the time to their face. I do eventually get away and I start cleaning up. And while I'm in the process of cleaning up and collecting all my gear, I go into the bar and I see the owner seated at the bar just doing lines of cocaine. At this point, I'm just in a hurry to get out of here. So I pack everything up, I put it in my car, and when I go to my car, the owner is in the parking lot with the most douchiest red Corvette I've ever seen. He's doing donuts in the parking lot and he's offering people rides. And I said, no thank you, and I left. We never do a show there again. The owner and the manager both liked to drink, and they lived right above the restaurant/bar, so they could drink quite a lot because they didn't have to drive home. So one night they drank so much that they made this big scene in front of their restaurant to the point that one of them got arrested. And after hearing that one of them was in jail, that's when we decided we don't want to do this show again. If they had let us, I think we would have continued to do shows there, which would have been a very poor decision. So I'm glad things came to an end the way they did.